distinguished delegates.
The delegation at the recent BRICS summit is a shocking reflection of Ethiopia's rapid decline. This team is utterly inept and woefully unqualified. It screams for incompetence and nepotism. The video speaks for itself. Are this the one representing Ethiopia? Abiy Ahmed and the ruling Oromo Prosperity Party care more about ethnicity and loyalty than about real expertise. If this is who Abiy chooses to represent us, it's terrifying to think of how far Ethiopia's institutions across the board have fallen since he took power in 2018.
He did so with a dignity that has become a legend. There was no answer, and there could be none. The League was dead. So, said the Emperor, it is us today, it will be you tomorrow.
Ethiopia is not just another nation. It is one of the 10 oldest countries in the world, on par with China, India, and Iran. Ethiopia is also a founding member of the League of Nations, the United Nations, African Union, and many international organizations. Ethiopia, situated in the Horn of Africa, stands as one of the 11 most populous nations in the world. With over 120 million people, it ranks as the second most populous country on the African continent, positioned in one of the world's most geopolitically unstable regions. Historically, Ethiopia's foreign policy team were well respected for their strategic thinking and intellectual prowess in foreign affairs and adeptness at navigating the complex terrains of both world wars, the Cold War, and shifting global orders.
Africa is not for sale. We are independent from foreign states. Africans are jealous of their independence and sovereignty, no matter how wealthy.
That the main responsibility for enabling the people of Southern Rhodesia to exercise their right to self-determination and independence is one that falls on the United Kingdom as the administering power.
As to justify a big power to take unilateral action that violates the sovereignty and the right of self-determination of nations, and hence also of the United Nations Charter.
S'il y a une violation de ces accords, les accords, qu'est-ce qu'ils disent? Que chaque pays retire ses troupes.
Toutes les sociétés comme les nôtres ont des problèmes qui se dérivent.
The international anti-apartheid year, we see some advance in our two-pronged offensive against racism in Southern Africa. In this regard, we congratulate the new Iranian government on its bold and just decision to stop the sale of oil to Pretoria.
My name is Abiy Ahmed.
Abiy Ahmed is getting isolated both at home and abroad.
Abiy Ahmed often forgets that he represents his country, not just himself. His interactions with world leaders and diplomats are more about himself than conveying any real substance. He jokes with dry humour and laughter to mask his lack of substance, which is why you often see so many photos of him like that.
My brother. How are you? How are you? I'm very well. How are you? Yeah, very strong. I'm so delighted. Congratulations. Oh, congratulations to you too.
I was telling you that you're my president.
Oh yes, you're my prime minister.
Here's what the European Union's Foreign Affairs representative said after meeting him.
Well, it has been a very frank and interesting discussion with the Prime Minister.
Despite Ethiopia's emphasis on English education from grade school through university, Abiy's own English is incredibly poor. Good accent, thou. But when it comes to expressing his ideas, he frequently leaves foreign leaders and diplomats confused and cringing. His eagerness to impress often backfires. He makes inappropriate and downright embarrassing remarks. His foul language and unfiltered commentary have made many diplomats shocked and appalled. They often compare Abiy's erratic behaviour and foul mouth to that of Uganda's infamous Idi Amin. He refused to use an interpreter, likely because someone with a PhD from a country that teaches English from grade 1 through graduate studies shouldn't need one. Using an interpreter would reveal the probable, undeniable truth that he cheated his way through school and didn't truly earn his PhD. It's a well-documented fact that Abiy Ahmed did not complete high school or even elementary school. His so-called doctoral degree was nothing but a political stunt, crafted to boost his image and serve the agenda of the Oromo People Democratic Party. And let's not forget, his dissertation wasn't just flawed, it was a disgrace, with 62% of it plagiarised. Alex Dawal exposed this fraud with concrete evidence. Go look it up on internet. Abiy Ahmed deliberately pursued the title of doctor to enhance his image. In many countries, the title doctor is typically associated with medical professionals. By using this title, he misled and confused the international community. In fact, US Senator James Inhofe mistakenly believed he was a medical doctor, illustrating how this intentional deception worked to his advantage.
A new prime minister, and who is this? His name was Abiy Ahmed, a doctor, a medical doctor, a doctor. We took a cursory look at that, and we believe he is the most highly educated prime minister in the history of the continent. Now, here's a guy who's the highest educated prime minister, we think, in the entire history of the entire continent of Africa.
It's commonly known that Abiy did not write his doctoral dissertation. Someone else wrote it for him.
My name is Abiy Ahmed.
In 2017, shortly after obtaining his doctorate through a plagiarised paper and just a year before becoming Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed tried to bolster his image by releasing a YouTube video. In this video, he read plagiarised content, taken from figures like Henry Kissinger and others, poorly stitched together. His performance was on a whole new level of pretense, reading off a teleprompter while awkwardly attempting to fake authenticity, pretending as if he were speaking genuinely to a journalist.
Increased communication gadget does not mean increased communication and understanding. Research agendas often disregarded the hardships faced by billions of impoverished people around the globe. I suggest that we should embrace innovation and research and development in our areas of expertise. We should apply our creative, adaptive and capacities to all that we do.
I think you're a hardcore believer in the importance of love and compassion for national stability. Can you share?
In Kenya, a student asked him a question that caught him off guard. His response revealed a shocking lack of basic English competency. His vocabulary and poor sentence structure were so glaringly inadequate, it was embarrassing. In Ethiopia, English is taught from grade 1, with 100% English in high school and beyond. It's impossible for anyone who genuinely went through that system to speak so poorly. One lie, one deception, is enough to expose someone's true character. Thanks to the nation's ethnic quota system, he rose to power as a representative of the Oromos. Now, the country is paying the price for his ineptitude.
You guys are lucky. If existing leaders have big help to invest on the next generation, on emerging, Africa will continue. The problem we have in Africa is all existing leaders, they don't appreciate those who are exiting. That means history. They don't also want to invest on emerging like you guys. Then Mr. X started something. When Mr. Y comes, he forgot that and he started over. Whatever you do.
For 6 years, Abiy Ahmed has never held an open question and answer session with foreign or domestic journalists. There are only a handful of instances. He fears facing challenges. Even when he travelled to Norway to accept his Nobel Peace Prize, he refused to engage with journalists.
Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed says he will not interact with the media during his trip to Norway to receive the 2019 Nobel Peace Prize later today. The move has sparked controversy with the Norwegian Nobel Committee.
But another student unexpectedly sabotaged him. He panicked and couldn't even understand the question being asked. It was pure gibberish. Yet again, we saw the con artist's true fear of being exposed under pressure.
Do you have time for one question? One question? How do you feel about being here in Norway?
I'm feeling great. It's good to be here.
What do you expect from your stay?
Today or tomorrow?
What do you expect for your stay?
What do you expect from?
Yeah.
From what?
From your stay here in Norway. I need a Kleenex.
You guys.
We want our audience to understand that the ability to speak English does not imply wisdom in any form. When someone claims to hold a PhD but cannot demonstrate even a basic 6th grade level of English, we are absolutely justified in questioning the validity of all his claims. Abiy is not just representing himself, he is representing Ethiopia. His refusal to use an interpreter out of fear of being unmasked directly hurts Ethiopia's interests. His weak vocabulary and poor sentence construction create room for misinterpretation, doing a significant disservice to the country. Those who interact with Abiy often leave dismayed, confused, and perplexed, and this ultimately undermines the nation's interests. In diplomacy, posture and physical expression are essential.
Is that okay? Peace is coming to our region. These two brothers are linking themselves to bring peace to South Sudan. Thank you very much.
Non-verbal cues, like eye contact, gestures and posture, convey confidence, sincerity and respect, often speaking louder than words. They shape perceptions, build trust, and signal intention, which is critical when representing a nation. Yet, Abiy seems indifferent to these principles, focusing solely on himself. His relationships with world leaders are pursued on a personal level, rather than as the leader of a nation representing 120 million people. He doesn't surround himself with qualified advisors, convinced that he alone has the answers. This costly, on-the-job training over the last 6 years has tragically cost over 1 million lives and drained $30 billion in civil conflict.
Distinguished delegates.
Daniel Kibret is, without a doubt, one of the most despised figures in Ethiopia, a ruthless mouthpiece for Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. His fanatical loyalty to Abiy knows no bounds, as he goes after critics with unrestrained aggression, sparing no one who dares to question the administration. His hateful, venomous speeches have drawn international condemnation, with the United Nations and US State Department calling out his dangerous, incendiary rhetoric. To Ethiopians, he's infamously known as Abiy's Rasputin, a sinister figure pulling strings behind the scenes. His appearance at the BRICS summit and other major global meetings was nothing short of an insult to the country's image, a glaring sign of how low Ethiopia's diplomatic standards have fallen.
Hello. Воспринимаем как Восточная Европа ворота в Африку.
Instead of qualified representatives, Ethiopia is being humiliated on the global stage by loyalists like Daniel, whose sole qualification is their blind allegiance to Abiy. Next up is Gideon Timotheos, a close ally of Abiy from the same Protestant church, formerly held the position of Justice Minister. Throughout his tenure, he was primarily engaged in drafting laws aimed at silencing dissent and manipulating regulations to support Abiy's electoral ambitions. In a shocking turn of events, Gideon has now been appointed as the new foreign minister. However, he brings to this role a complete lack of experience in diplomacy or foreign policy. His grasp of international relations, negotiation, crisis management, alliance building, and policy formulation is non-existent. He is, in essence, utterly unqualified. Even more surprising is that his wife has assumed his previous role as Justice Minister. It's no wonder Abiy has had such difficulty attracting individuals of integrity to his administration. This situation starkly illustrates the troubling state of leadership within his government. Let's talk about Redwan Hussein, the former Minister of Sports and Youth. While he might be a bit good at speaking English, he has zero experience in diplomacy or foreign relations. So, it's tough to see how he fits into the role of representing Ethiopia on the global stage. Next up is Legesse Tulu, Abiy's Minister of Communication, that he struggles to communicate effectively himself. It's almost like he could use a little speech therapy or something. You'd think that in such a crucial role, he'd be a strong communicator, right? But no. It's pretty obvious he has a hard time even expressing himself. So, it really makes you wonder how he plans to handle communication for Ethiopia on the world stage.